Hey now, happy vibes, my friends. Welcome back to my podcast, Vibes by Alicia, where I believe in spreading killer vibes to light you up and give you that kick in the ass to craft the life you wish to live. This sacred space is dedicated to the lovers of all things business, travel, and lifestyle. Hey, it's about time you get the scoop on the latest vibes, so let's get to it. Guys, today I'm really excited to share with you two of my favorite people.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to share with you, and I think most of you know Daisy. Daisy has been on my podcast before. She has her own podcast, Life Full of Daisies, and I love it. And Thomas is a really good friend of ours, of Rusk and myself. And Rusk is also my guest today. Say hi to everybody.
Hello. Thanks for inviting
Everybody
me.
loves it when you're
I'm
on
also
for some
special.
reason. I don't
Please
know
let
why.
that out, but
Yeah,
I'll
what?
throw that in there.
Huh?
I said I'm also special. You left that out.
You did. You're a special guest
I'm
too.
special in other ways. My mom told me.
Yes, right.
You know, and today we
I
have
sounded
an
anxious.
exciting, lively conversation, and we're going to be talking about communication between the sexes. We're going to be talking about the communication and how it affects us in relationships, and how it affects us at the beginning of a relationship, and how it affects us in a long-term relationship, and what kinds of things are we willing to put up with in terms of communicating at the beginning of a relationship, and what things are going to be a deal breaker, I guess, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about how we bridge the gap. I love that term, because it really is how one person's communication style and another person's communication style can come together and meet somewhere in the middle. And how do we get to that point? And what kind of advice can we give our listeners and our audience for them to also figure out or achieve ways to get to that point where they can communicate with their partners in the best possible way. It is said that communication is the number one reason a lot of people don't succeed in relationships. They do say money as well, but communication is number one. Why? Because for so many of us, we have such different ways of communicating. Like, what is the way that we can reach a mutual understanding for communicating with each other? So, Daisy, tell me a little bit about you. Tell my guests a little bit about who you are, and then we'll go to Thomas and tell them who you are.
Well, hi everyone. I'm back.
I love having you, by the way.
It's been a while. I mean, it's only been a few episodes. But I'm Daisy. I host my own podcast, Life is Full of Daisies. And
Great podcast, by the way.
Yes, we talk all things life, especially for my millennials. And then I also am a full-time dental hygienist at a great practice. And then what else?
Yeah, and you also are the co-founder of Texas Podcaster Gals.
That's true. I always forget my.
Yeah, you're a co-founder.
I'm not very prepared today.
Yeah, you're
that.
And also on top of all the future trends in
podcasting, yes. I'm trying to stay on top of all of that to kind of help bridge everyone and getting them all included into like the podcasting world. And that's what the Texas Podcaster Gals is really focused on.
Exactly. So support and community.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Daisy. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks
Thomas, give us your full name, by the way, and tell us where you're from.
Yes, my full name is Ulla Thomas Mosnes. I am Norwegian, born and bred. I moved here a little over 20 years ago, and somehow I still find myself here, stuck in corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You said stuck.
You sound so excited.
Yeah.
You know what? So that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm stuck in corporate America.
Okay.
I feel like this,
what do we need to unstuck you with?
This is a whole other episode.
You know what? But that's why I said that. I want to come back because you've been here several times, Daisy. So that's for next time. But I'm a tequila connoisseur. I'm very passionate about tequila, everything tequila. I collect tequilas. Currently, I have 60 to 70 bottles of my own.
Amazing.
I am an avid motorcycle rider. I do a lot of track riding, and those two are, I guess, they have become my two biggest hobbies, if you can call tequila a hobby.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Exercising used to be big in the past. I used to compete in physique and bodybuilding. But and I used to be a trainer at this one gym that some people know about around here, Sweat 1000. But I feel like, you know, as we grow and as we grow older, I think our priorities are shifting, and I've kind of found my new passions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And that's evolution, you know. All of us go through those moments, and we evolve as we should.
Right.
Yes.
And Russ, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Oh, well.
I think everybody knows you by now.
You're married to this one, right?
I'm married to Alicia.
He's
Do I need to say anything anymore?
He's Mr. Alicia Elatassi.
That's kind of how I feel for the last.
That's a little emasculating.
A little 2.5 years.
Wait a minute. Why does it have to be? Why?
It would be if he would actually accept that, but he doesn't.
I agree with Thomas. I don't accept that. I'm different.
Society told you not to.
No, it's not that. It's because I can balance both. I can be on her side and support her, and also kind of not feel like I'm, you know, emasculating myself. So.
Yeah, but, it's a joke.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. People know it's a joke.
Yeah. I'm right now. I'm rudderless, directionless in life. I don't really have a clear path. I do real estate, but it kind of comes and goes. I spend more of my time studying wine than I think I do anything else. And hopefully that I will, you know, find something soon, because it's starting to get boring at home. I help Alicia out all the time with all her endeavors and projects, and I'm here. Yeah. You know, she was with me for the better part of 20 years when I had my business, and she stood behind me through thick and thin, and through good days and bad days, and blood, sweat, and tears, literally all three. And but now it's my time to help her out. So that's what I'm kind of. That's really. If that's my direction, that's really what I'm. You know, that's where I'm kind of headed right now.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've been together for so long, because we communicated all of those expectations about each other from the very beginning. And I think I mentioned to you from the very beginning that in our relationship and who we were as a couple, Russ was very direct in terms of wanting certain things and certain expectations for his life. And he wanted to know if I was ready to meet those expectations. And if I wasn't, then I needed to leave the relationship, you know, at that moment. He made it very clear from the beginning, I'm going to be working, and I'm going to be working 60, 70 hours a week. I may have time for you. I may not have time, but that's who I am. And I have a goal to build my business. I have a goal to do this. I have a goal to get this amount of money. Like, he would put money numbers in front of me, and he would say, this is what I'm going to do. You want to be in it? You don't want to be in it? That's okay. Like, I know that you require your time. And for me, I was like, I'm okay with that. I'm good, because I have my own life of my own. And I had my own endeavors. I had my own goals. So I would pursue my own things. But at the same time, we were always partners in everything that we did. And he never left me out of anything. So communication was super important from the beginning, because he communicated every single move he made with me. And so I was always a part of that journey with him. And every move, before he made any moves in terms of what he was going to do, he always asked me what I thought about it. So my opinion always mattered to him. It wasn't like I wasn't considered. And so, and if I said no to something, it was no. Right? If I really felt strongly that we were not going to do something, we didn't do it, because it was always both of us together. And I think that's the conversation I want to lead today. It's how important is communication in a relationship? It is important, but how much of it are you willing to bridge the gap? How much are you willing to give in and not, and compromise? Because compromise, I think, is a big, big component in a relationship. Oh, yes. Huge component in a relationship. And you have to compromise and give in and do things sometimes that you don't want to do for the other person's sake. Of course, nothing bad. What I'm saying is, you know, how do you meet the goals in the middle? And do you have those same goals as each other? So here's the first question I have for y'all. As we talk about communication, number one, what is the one thing that's the biggest pet peeve for you when you are first dating someone? Both of you are single. Are you a millennialist? Are you both millennials, by the way?
Yes.
Yes. So the millennial life, the millennial single life, which, you know, it's very different from when we were dating. And as you know, back in the day, we either had like a phone. I mean, we didn't have a phone, a cell phone. We didn't have cell phones.
We grew up in the pager generation.
Yeah, when you had little pagers where we beep you, but
cell phones had just come out.
But when Russ and I first met, we met on a Friday, and he didn't call till a Sunday night. So talk about communication. Mr. Elatassi likes things to be, you know, fast. But he took 2 days to call me.
But he had a date night that Saturdays.
He probably did.
Secret.
Yeah.
Following like the 2-3 day rule.
Oh yeah, what is it? Were you following? Were you following a rule?
So I always when I wanted something, I always went for it. Like Alicia
Yeah.
tells me, give it some time before you respond to a text or whatever. Don't seem so desperate, but I don't really care about desperation. I don't see it that way. I just see it something as I want it, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
And I did that through the part of middle school and high school. I liked the girl. I always made an attempt. I didn't care about any of that rule that you're referring to. But then by the time I got to college, you start talking to other buddies and like, you got to give it 24 hours. And it seemed to work for them. Was never working for me because the desperation made the girl always seem like it's easy for her now because you called her right away. So I said, I'm going to give this a shot and see if this little 24-hour buffer rule actually works. And it did. And I would literally call her the next morning if I had tried what I had done in the past. But I've done that before and it never worked out for me because all of a sudden they realized, I don't have to try for this guy because he's already calling me. So I said, I'm going to give it at least one day. So here we are, 20 years later, it worked. Right. So I'm not saying that's what you should do in 30, 48, 72 hours or any of that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that's what you should do in other situations. I just, when people don't text, what we were talking about earlier before we had to come on to the podcast, I really think you should reach out at least, today's time. Back then we only had phones. We didn't have cell phones or any of that kind of stuff. So you really had to call somebody. Today it's a lot easier. I think you should be able to do that.
So how far does it go, Thomas?
Well,
Tell
so,
me.
if it was a 48-hour rule, was it 40 years ago?
Yeah, it feels like it.
20 23.
Right.
23
then
years.
I think it's definitely been reduced.
Yes.
Like 12 to 24 hours. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's got a lot to do with where you are with that person. One, if you met the person organically at a bar, then you'll exchange numbers. And it's just kind of natural that the next day you'll follow up either by a text message or a phone call. I've always been in sales. So to me, it's more natural to make a phone call because I'm going to talk to the person.
Yeah.
But then whenever you got, Bumble and all these other dating apps, whenever you chat with somebody there, I do not expect immediate replies.
Oh,
I just don't. Unless there is a good conversation where there's a lot of forth and back, and we can get to the point of exchanging that phone number so we can actually get on a personal level. If that doesn't happen within the first couple days, I don't see a lot happening with this human being I'm talking to. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think things are more expedited now.
They are expedited.
That's what I feel.
Right.
I agree because everything's just that everyone has a phone. Everyone's going to always be holding their phone at some point.
Yeah.
So it's BS if you say that, I had other things going on or I was working. It's like, no, it takes 3 seconds to text somebody back. At least acknowledge what they're saying.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's like there's also this huge shift right now where it's like if you are not in a mental space where you want to have conversations, sometimes it's okay to kind of back off and not necessarily respond because you're not ready for it. But when you talk about dating, it's like, for me, I'm very upfront and forward. I'm hey, I'll just start a small chat here, but if it's getting too serious, then I'll let them know hey, I'm not right now. It's been a really hectic day. Can we continue this conversation tomorrow or something?
Right.
You don't feel like maybe they won't be interested in you anymore because you were not as interested in them? Because if you were really interested in someone, would you tell them to wait?
I just felt rejected. If
yeah.
That was me texting
I was going to say they probably feel rejected.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I took myself off dating apps, so it's I haven't really been doing it. And most of the time, if I am excited, I definitely do go ahead and we have a conversation. For me, I have the energy to be able to have that conversation, especially after.
Because you want to.
Exactly. And if I'm excited to talk about that person, but I do need a little after work, I need a little me time where I go work out. And then after that, I'm fully focused. Okay, I'm back. I can have that conversation with you.
Gotcha.
But you're right. If you are actually
interested in someone,
you're going to make the effort. Like the old saying, if he wanted to, he would. Or if she wanted to, she would.
Touché.
It's true.
Put this under. Yeah, so let me ask you something really quick about that, because I feel that if you are really interested in someone, you really like them, let's just say there's initial chemistry right away and there's an attraction. Would you put a time frame on that? I would assume you would want to be with them right away and just get on the phone and spend the next day with them. How is that now?
So are you saying that you feel a connection based on
It's a physical
communication?
Let's just say it's just a physical.
Like
yeah.
Oh, you met him in person.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to meet somebody online, so how does that happen?
It's all online.
So I'm just saying, from my perspective,
Yeah.
it's in person,
Yeah.
and I see you, and I'm like the day we met,
Yeah.
and I feel an attraction to you.
Right.
It could be physical, it could be mental. For me, it was very mental with him.
Oh, girl, I'm gonna want to see you tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
And it felt like I did, and we like saw each other, and then like it was great for 2 months, and then after the fact, it's like, well, we weren't really compatible. Like after I actually looked at like our compatibility, he did not have a lot of drive or ambition, and that's something that I like in a guy.
Yeah.
And because I'm very ambitious,
But that's 2 months later is when you make that determination.
Yeah.
So, but when you reached out to him that quickly, that was because you were that interested, right?
Yeah, we had a really great first date.
But why do you feel like you regretted that now, and you wouldn't do it? Would you do it again with somebody? You didn't regret it. Okay.
Regret it. Like,
would you do it again?
It was something different that I hadn't done before.
Okay.
I do wait.
Okay.
Like Russ said, like you have to change it up and see what's working and what's not. And I just feel like right now it's so hard sometimes to date, just because there is such a saturation. There is so many options that people have. If somebody doesn't respond right away, they're like, okay, moving on to this girl. I'll move on to the next girl. They already have an option. Whereas if you actually, and I heard a podcast about this, where if you actually just give yourself 3 people to focus on and just talk to those people and see what happens.
Okay.
Then you proceed with like, okay, I'll talk to them or let's meet up. But you're right. Like you were saying, texting them like within a few days, like actually exchanging numbers and then actually meeting up for coffee, or it doesn't have to be anything like a dinner date, but just at least to see each other and meet each other physically to see if there is an actual
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Text, you can't, there's not, you don't, my personality doesn't come off well on text. Like you don't know who I am as a person. So I think just dating apps, it's not necessarily the best way to date.
Let's say you meet somebody, or I'm sorry.
So you had said that you're off dating apps. What are you doing now?
Nothing. It's organic.
It's organic.
It's just we're going out in the wild.
It's old school organic. You're just trying to find somebody.
I'm open to it. I'm not necessarily someone that's like, oh, dating is what my agenda is. Right now I have a lot of other things.
It's not your number one priority, huh?
No, but I always tell people, I was like, I'm very open to it. I'm building the life that I love and putting the people that I love in that life. And if somebody happens to walk in and we hit it off and we, get to know each other, then I'm very open to it. But I'm not saying that that's my agenda. Right
Your end goal.
I'm not like desperately looking for, because I'm supposed to be married at this age. I refuse to like.
I can relate to that. I can relate because you sound like you put work as number one.
I used to. I'm trying to be better about that. But I'm just really working on myself and just being the best me. And allowing and knowing, because I've gotten into a lot of toxic relationships. So at that point, you have to realize and analyze, like, why do I keep going into the same type of relationship? Once you analyze all of that, then you're like, okay, I have to do something different. And it's all about ultimately self-love and learning how to really care about yourself.
And do you communicate those things with your
some men are not very emotionally.
I was just gonna say, are the men receptive to the fact that you're working on yourself and you're working on your personal growth?
Some are, and they respect it a great deal. And then some are like, okay, whatever, and they just brush it off. And at that point, you already know, like, okay, they're not on the same level that I'm at.
The latter ones you talk of, those are the immature ones who they want to get in and out and move on to the next one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
I'm over that stage. Like, it's fine if you want to have fun. You do you. But in my phase of life, that's not what I want.
And do you communicate those expectations at the beginning, or do you wait until the relationship has a little bit of flourished and then you talk about those expectations?
It depends.
That's a good question.
It's a great question. It depends.
Which exact expectations?
For example, your expectations in the relationship, like what you expect from them in the relationship,
like
in communication.
Right?
No. I mean, the last girl I dated, that was in June, July, and whenever we got to started hanging out, which was after the first date.
Yeah.
Just 2, 3, 4 times a week, then we realized that, well, I told her openly that, look, I'm not swiping. I deleted my apps.
Yeah.
I'm interested in you and only you.
Yeah.
And this is me. So let's hang out. Let's see how this is going. So yeah, I was very open about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like I asked certain girls who meet men online, I'm like, do you expect them to just get rid of that app?
No.
Some of them say no, and I would expect them to get rid of the app.
I don't. At this point, I assume that they're still dating other people, and that's why you don't ever get into an intimate relationship right away.
But isn't that
That's so bizarre.
but that is a cynical, but don't you think that's a cynical way of seeing a relationship? Because if you want somebody to be monogamous, wouldn't you want them to be off those apps and expect them and tell them to get off the apps?
Well, but this is the thing, is if you're speaking of like, this is just the initial date.
First date, exactly.
First date?
Yeah.
No, I don't expect, I really don't expect them
All right.
to.
How long later? Because I would have been like on the first date. If I'm into you, I'm like, I'm into you and I want you to get off those apps.
If you know that you're exclusive,
yeah,
those apps better not freaking be there.
Right.
Yeah.
But what Alicia's arguing is that it's 24-hour exclusivity period. Yeah. And then, but it's hard now because it's not realistic, right? You have to get past that second step and the third step, and the chemistry has to develop before you can expect somebody to get off the app, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
absolutely.
I agree. Yeah. I think it takes like a few dates in to finally be like, I even have friends that are they pretty much are in an exclusive relationship, but they haven't had that actual conversation because they're nervous about that.
Let's talk about that. That's another form of communication. Why are you not communicating with those guys that you want them off the apps, that they should be off the apps?
I haven't gotten to that point at this point. I'm like, I just assume people are on.
Why are your friends not expecting that from the men they're dating as supposedly monogamous relationships?
I think because it's how we are being trained in how society is, and we were just like, because we've had such bad past relationships, you're just like automatically assuming that they're not going to do the same, and you're just like, okay. But the one thing that I always tell, and even in my girlfriends, I'm like, well, the one thing that you can control is like when you decide to get intimate with them. And that's where at that point you can say, well, I don't have to be in a monogamous relationship to do that, or I need to be in that.
Okay.
And that's where you set your boundaries and what your expectations
are. How soon do y'all both communicate that you're ready for a monogamous relationship?
That is on a case by case. It depends on how well you connect with that person. It depends on the feedback, the vibes you're getting back from that person. The last person, it was a matter of, I'm going to say 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, 3 to 4 weeks, because we saw each other every week. We saw each other 2 times. So our first date was my birthday at the end of May. Our second date was her birthday, beginning of June. And then when I take her home and her mother is there, and she treats me for a bottle of Clase Azul tequila, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So when I'm there hanging out with the daughter and the mom till 5 a.m, you make you hit it off.
Yeah.
When the mom loves you.
Yes.
That's another buy-in, especially for her,
Absolutely.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Vibes by Alicia Season 5 is sponsored by SNR Creative. Are you putting your money towards visibility but not seeing any change or business growth? Well, that is the problem. SNR Creative is a boutique marketing and business development firm in Houston that specializes in turning your ideas into reality in the most creative way possible. From social media management to website development, graphic design to event management, this full-service creative team does it all. The world can't go on without your services, so let's make sure everybody knows your name. You're either fascinating or forgotten. What will you choose? Get ahead and above the competition by contacting SNR Creative with the link in my bio. Mention Vibes by Alicia and receive a free business consultation. Vibes by Alicia Season 5 is sponsored by SheSpace. Hey you, yes you, badass hardworking boss. If you're tired of cliche spaces, of the regular and unimpressive, you want to add a little bit of spice to the shared co-working experience, I have just the place. SheSpace is the hub for bold women. It's the queen's throne away from home. I firmly believe in the proximity principle, which refers to the intention of surrounding yourself with the people who embody your ambitions to achieve them. Find that proximity and experience the dream job life here at SheSpace. With membership, you'll have access to a multitude of amenities, a robust calendar of events, and overall a group of like-minded women. So what are you waiting for? Come and see us at She Space. Vibes by Alicia Season 5 is sponsored by Finest Blood. Finest Blood provides patients and partners in clinics with service at its finest. Avoid mixed diagnoses in unprecedented times and commit to laboratory services in the finest way. Whether you are participating in mobile or in-lab services, we will provide you with the finest care and make sure your satisfaction is met. No more waiting long hours in clinics. No more waiting long hours for results. No more leaving the comfort of your own home, if that's what you choose. At Finest Blood, our system is designed to alleviate the challenges of accessibility and timeliness of lab work while providing exceptional customer care. We provide you with the best care in anything that we do. Come and see us or follow us at finestbloodllc.com.
So, yeah, I mean,
so as you guys get older, how adamant are you guys towards the checklist? Because I remember, this is way before. I always say the same thing: is that you guys have it a lot harder than Lisa had it because we didn't have social media back in our time. It's like you had mentioned at the beginning, everyone can just swipe left or right or however that works. I have no idea, but it's like you said, it's saturated market. Doesn't work out. They know that it's so much easier to find somebody out there, or at least try to find somebody out there. We had to do it the old school way. We didn't meet at a bar, but we had the mentality that you can meet somebody at a bar, at school, or at work. Anywhere. But you had to put effort into meeting somebody. So the fact that you have to put effort means that you have to kind of settle. I'm not saying I settled my wife, but I'm just saying that you have to kind of be more flexible because to find somebody else, you have to put that much more effort into it. You no longer have to put effort because all what you're looking for comes to you. So
you needed some cojones back in the day. These days,
right,
they can be very, very tiny because it doesn't take much, right?
It doesn't take much, right?
It simply doesn't take much. I mean, and you're like, if this app doesn't work, then let me try one of the 10 other ones.
Yes, right.
And maybe I'll meet somebody there.
And you have to do the face-to-face, which makes always people really nervous and insecure about themselves, where you have this buffer on social media or on these dating apps
Russ,
or whatever.
you bring up a great point because what you say about, what I've experienced a lot about is just how committed to the phones my dates have been.
Let's go to that conversation on the phones.
Ready for that conversation?
I want to talk about that.
But before that, if they can just. What about the checklist?
Oh yeah, let's go back to the checklist.
I was going to go back to.
We'll go back to the other one.
Checklist. They have expectations. It could be religious, it could be political, ideological, family oriented.
Yeah.
But as you get older and you start realizing your time is on a short lease, especially if you want a family, and biologically, how adamant are you still about that checklist?
That checklist has changed.
Yeah.
In the past.
What changed?
24 months, in the past 5 years, in the past 10 years, it's all changed.
It keeps changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it keep getting
as
smaller?
You get older?
Or does it get bigger?
No, it gets smaller.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because I think that as you live, you kind of, as we live, we live through experiences of dating this type of person, character, personality, and we go through this type of character, person, personality, the ones with the looks, the ones with the personality, the ones with the brains, or a combination of all of them, and you realize that, actually, this didn't fit my cup of tea. This is definitely not my cup of tea, but you know what? More and more so, this scope right here, that's what I'm looking for. Right? That's what's happened. Yeah. And I'm 35 saying that.
Yeah.
You were shaking your head no. Why not?
Yes and no.
Yes.
Back then, you're right. You had different expectations. You're like, I'm going to get married, have this family, blah, blah. But
no. You're like, I'm going to hook up. I'm going to hook up.
No, I'm not that kind of girl.
We were all that kind of human being.
I mean, once upon a time, yes.
Exactly. Thank you. That's all I wanted you to say.
Yes. That's why I said you do what you want to do, what feels right for your life. There's no shaming. If that's what you want to do, make sure that you're both on the same page. But going back to your question, Russ, my list, I don't think it's gotten shorter or longer. I think I've just fine tune like what it means to be, emotionally available, or what family oriented means to me. Because I used to think, oh, I want the family oriented, but then there's the issue where you're a mama's boy, but there's a toxic attachment to the mom, and then that seeds into your marriage, and I don't want that. Like, I'm sorry, I love my family, and that is one of my number ones, like family oriented. I adore them, but I'm more.
So when you say fine tune, Daisy, that typically suggests a longer list. Even you're just
redefining it.
Specified. More specific.
But then it's also harder to find somebody to fit it.
Well, the thing is, I'm in the mentality where the right person is. I'm not here to say I need to be married by this time. I gave that idea up a long time ago. Yep. It's like, if it's meant for me to be married and have kids, then great. If it's not, I still can live a fulfilled life. Do I have to have kids in a marriage to be fulfilled as a woman? Yeah. Absolutely not. I think that it doesn't have to be that. Right. But would I like to have someone to enjoy life with? Absolutely.
What about 5 years ago?
5 years ago,
were you thinking that I'm gonna meet the dream guy? I want to get.
It's different.
I definitely had, like, as far as like outward appearance, like what I wanted or whatever, very different than what I am going for now. Yeah, that has definitely changed. That's why I said it's kind of like it's just changed, it's shifted. It's not.
So you're not concentrating on the physical as much as you are on the mental.
No, because beauty fades. Right. But the kindness and the heart and the personality that person brings in the life that they're going to bring.
That lasts forever.
That's what's going to last
forever. For sure.
So
very good.
But there's still Botox, plastic surgery. I'm just kidding.
No, and you know what?
Nobody's against that. I can keep myself young. And compete against these other younger girls.
Yeah. Oh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one.
I'm just saying, whatever makes you feel the best you. I think whenever you are, and also really looking into figuring out what traumas and triggers you, because a lot of times, like,
everybody brings baggage to a relationship. Everybody brings baggage.
Great point.
It's about fixing that. And like, for me, I'm very open on my podcast about going to therapy. I think everybody needs therapy, because no matter who you are, especially being Mexican, unfortunately, there are certain cultural traumas
that you have to be like crazy to go to therapy. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't care. Like, I need to break those cycles because I want to have a healthy, loving relationship.
Right.
It's about having a partner, not just somebody to add financial wealth to my life. It's not about that.
And you know what? And I think that's the conversation that needs to be had is, do you want a partner? Do you just want a relationship? Because partnerships are very different from just a relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a partnership.
It's a partnership, right?
It's not a relationship.
Like, you can have, like, I have guy friends that have literally told me to my face, and they're in their 30s. They're like, oh, well, I'm just going to date younger because I want to have an XY amount of, or like 4 or 5 kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, but don't you want someone that's going to be your partner and it's going to help, like, boost whatever
and grow with you? Yeah.
Exactly. And they literally dead to my face said, not really. I can do all that by myself. And I'm like,
yeah, no, I dated the 25, 27-year-old.
I don't understand that concept.
Well, I am 8 to 10 years older. It's like,
what do y'all have in common is my thing.
Right.
Very, very, very little.
Yeah.
Wow, what an understanding, right? What an understanding to come to that.
I mean, they are 2, 3, 4 years out of college.
I appreciate you saying that.
They want to party, like they want to go hook up.
I'm 25.
And then I'm the weird old 35-year-old, and attracted to these beautiful women, just like beautiful women of any age. But they were looking at me like, no, you know what? Actually, typically what happens is, you're 35.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You're 35.
And
right now, like, I don't want a sugar daddy. I want to have fun. I want to have fun.
Even at 35.
Yeah.
You're not that far off. Right. You're not at 45.
Yeah, you're not 45, 55. Right. You're 35. Right. What is the...
I mean, look, you have those... Wow. You have some women who do, and, who sees the appeal in that, but the majority that I've come across, it's not been the appeal.
Okay, so let's go back to the conversation about what expectations we're willing to put up with, or what things we're willing to put up with at the beginning of a relationship. And you mentioned, Thomas, you will not put up with the phone out. And it goes back to the conversation we just had with these girls that are just willing to just sort of have a relationship with anyone just to have fun. It's the same mentality, don't you think?
Yeah, so, they're willing to have a sexual relationship, but kind of keep it on a text message basis, as opposed to being able to get to know them better by actually having intimate conversations or by phone. I've always been a phone person, I mean,
when you say phone, you like talking on the phone.
I like talking on the phone because
wow, that's random. That's weird.
That's rare these days.
I know it is.
I appreciate it though. I like the phone call.
And I get that.
Right.
I get that a lot.
We grew up
just
in that.
a text message only gives so much context, as opposed to getting to know a person. Like a 5-minute conversation is equivalent to 500 messages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when it's important, but you also hear the person's voice and how they present it, and this is their authentic selves, as opposed to a text message. It's so organic, like anybody and everybody could write that message. It doesn't feel authentic.
That, and you don't know, like you don't get that personality. Like I told you earlier, I don't come off well like on text. Like I can be funny and goofy, but that doesn't relay on a text message. You might have seen me on a professional standpoint. I'm serious. So text to me, text should be to communicate like, okay, we're meeting at this time, confirming time and date. And
let's say you're on a date and that person is on their phone all the time. Is that a turn off?
Annoying. Turn off.
Is that a turn off?
Wait, are they like talking on the phone or text message?
No, they're texting their friends while they're out for lunch with you.
It's annoying as hell.
It's still annoying.
Yeah.
I try to put my phone away, like or face down or away in my purse, so that way I'm giving that person like undivided attention.
Like if my date decides to grab her phone and put it onto the table out of her purse, it's like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
And I'll excuse myself and I go to the waiter and I'll say,
shit.
Whenever the check comes, cut it in half.
That's great. Thomas is right. There's certain traditions that transcend generations. And attention,
which is what?
Which is attention.
Oh, attention.
And it doesn't matter.
I thought cutting the check in the middle.
No.
That is the man makes me pay the first day.
No, but what Thomas was saying is that if you're not paying attention to him because you're busy doing something else on a first date, then it's obviously not working out. What he's implying is that you're bored with him or you're not interested in him. So I would probably do the same thing too. That stuff's rude.
And I think that's one of the things that I think a lot of men and women have in difference, because I think women will see the phone. She's just, just checking her messages or whatever. And the guy is thinking, well, I'm not interested enough for you that you need to be on your phone and checking your messages because I'm not interested enough for you. Right? And that's a communication dilemma.
That, it's even in whether you're millennial, Gen Z, whatever, that's just rude to
Gen Z?
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
The wine Gen Z.
No, you're not even drinking. We need to give her more. She's not even drinking.
No.
We got another bottle.
She's got some in her glass.
I keep looking at it.
Okay,
good thing she got her workout in today.
For the record, Daisy, that's so
you burned already. You burned your calories already. You did.
That's why we go there.
Wait, what was I saying? I lost track of thought.
We go to Sweat so we can drink.
I work out so I can drink.
Yes, of course.
I love trying new restaurants.
That's the key. Yes.
So anyways, going back to my point, I just think it's ultimately rude.
Yeah.
Whatever generation you are, to have your phone out. I think if you're gonna date someone and actually get them in a physical form, you need to respect their time.
Yes,
it's about going back to respecting
I agree 100%.
And it goes back to punctuality, respecting a person's time. If you say 5 o'clock, you better show up at 5 o'clock, or anything, even in a personal business relationship.
Even at 5 o'clock, the guy has to be there 10 minutes.
Yes, of course.
I'm always there.
Yeah, but I think
that's why it has not worked out.
Yeah.
Well, but you will find someone that will meet you at that point, and that they'll be anal about time. But even like in a business relationship, you don't pull your phone out. Even if you're having a conversation with somebody in business, you don't pull your phone out. Why? Because you're giving that person your undivided attention.
Yes.
And that's just how it is. It's a form of respect. It's a form of politeness. It is the way you were raised as well. It's like I tell Rusk a lot of times, a lot of people were not raised correctly to respect a person's time, to respect a person's efforts. You know, he and I have that same type of mentality in the way that we approach things and the way we meet things. You have to be there early because that's that person's time. You ask them to meet you, you better be there early. You know, pick up a check when you've invited somebody out. You know, do things that show that you're showing an effort and you're appreciative of that person. And I think a lot of kids or a lot of younger people don't realize how important that is in terms of when you're starting a relationship. And it goes back to the idea of communicating. Again, at the beginning, communicating how you are and what you expect from that other person from the beginning.
I agree with all of that. Like, but at the same time, it's like it is the generation that we've grown up in, and we've conformed to that. And we're allowed. I always say it is both women and men in my generation. It's both our faults that we've created this ghosting culture. This not respecting, at least being like, you know, I had a great time. So at least giving them at least that sense of like pleasure. Instead, you're ghosting them, and then they're there thinking it's something that they did. In reality, a lot of times it is a reflection of you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I got ghosted in May. That's right.
It sucks to be. I refuse. I don't ghost people.
Who ghosted you in May?
This chick, I can't remember. I can't remember her name right now. No, her name is very insignificant, and but it sucked. You know, after you have 2 amazing dates, and the second one she spends the night and then ghosts you. You know, 4 days after, when I'm inviting her to a comedy show to, you know, just to try something different.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then.
She didn't show up, or she just didn't text you back?
No, didn't text me back.
Oh.
Ever.
And then, no. And then 2 or 3 weeks go by and she says, blow up on my phone because it was convenient to her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, and again, this was the 25-year-old.
I'm so frustrated.
So that's again. This was the 25.
You did this to yourself.
I did it to myself. Yes. What I did, I almost broke the glass. So what I did is I changed my age setting on my dating apps. It's now 28 to 37 instead of 18. So I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding. I want to get your reaction.
Hey, would you go for an older woman, by the way?
Well, that was going to be.
Can I ask you that?
Oh, you want to go there? You want to go there?
I do. I mean, maybe can it go up to like 47?
I was going to ask that question.
Not 47. No. So, about 4 years ago, a beautiful cardiologist. I was her go-to date for any event, and she wanted something more. And she was like, "Thomas, how about you just sell your house and I'll buy ourselves $1 million condo, and we can have a couple babies." And I was like,
"You don't want to be a sugar daddy?"
I'm not there. Like
sugar baby.
I don't feel. I'm sorry to say, I don't feel that way about you. You're an amazing woman, but I'm not there. But she was 10 years older at the time. I was 30. She was 40, turning 41. But would I go for an older one? An older girl? Yeah, I mean, up to a certain point.
I mean, because kids are important for you. You want to have children at some point.
Most definitely.
So that definitely isn't going to be the case for you, because older women are probably either had already kids or can't have them at their 40s.
I haven't heard Thomas say he has dated somebody over 30.
Oh. You have?
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah.
40. She was 40, huh?
She's 40.
She was 40.
She's 40.
Yeah. This is 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about adopting? Like, you can have kids in different ways.
Oh, yeah, no, certainly you can, right? But you still got to find that, you still got to find your match.
Yeah, but if you're going for people under 30, it's you're really restricting, like, the people that are in the right mentality to want to settle down.
Are you doing that, Daisy? Are you looking for people your age or a little bit older?
I go a little bit younger and a little bit older.
Yeah.
I'm kind of.
I think that's a reasonable balance.
5 years.
Right.
5 years younger is my max, and then I actually have done 10 years older.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like a lot of times I've had to realize that if I do older, they may have already have kids.
Right.
That sort
But
of thing.
I want to just come back to the idea that every situation is different and every person may be different. And even though your checklist says this, and this, there could be one person that reaches those things. And maybe they're not young, maybe they're not younger than you, but they have everything else. Right. They just don't meet that one criteria.
Right, the age number.
Yeah, why throw them away when they can be a good partner, not just a relationship person, but a good partner in your growth, in your growth together. By the way,
no, I agree with both of you. I agree with both of you 100%. I think not just me, but many others discount the amazing women who may be a year or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years older.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Absolutely. I'll openly admit that. I don't think I'm the only one who does. I think it's still the societal, view of a man having a younger woman, and I think that still plays a part in in our subconscious decision as to what woman we are attracted to.
Yeah, of course.
To, you know what I mean? Yeah.
But she meets everything else. She meets all the other expectations. Right. She's just an older woman. Are you willing to forego that relationship just because she's not young?
Physical attributes.
Right. You're asking me very directly right now.
Yeah, I am.
I mean, you really are. Okay, so
you're like, I plead the fifth. Okay, I'm not answering that question.
We're looking for direct answers.
Do you have a friend who's looking for?
No.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. I mean, if you had a friend who was like, I'm looking for a handsome young man, then,
Listen, because I think a lot of times our mentalities, no matter what it is, our mentalities could be matched up. And we could just not be the same age or the same age group, or the checklist doesn't check. But our mindsets are in the same goal. Our value system is the same value system. Things that people don't consider when they're dating. They consider the outside. They consider, silly things.
They consider the physical.
The physical components first, a lot of times, and to be married to someone and to be in a partnership with someone, value systems are like at the highest levels. And if you don't believe the same things or getting to that same end goal, it doesn't matter how fucking gorgeous she is. Does not matter if she's not on board with your mentality or with your goals as a couple. Who gives a shit at that point? Really, honestly. Men or female. I could be a woman looking for a man, and I could be like, dude, yeah, you're handsome, you're gorgeous, you're fit, you're like fucking amazing, but you don't have the value system that I'm looking for, because I want somebody with a fucking amazing work ethic. I need somebody with integrity. I need somebody with honesty, and somebody who's gonna work fucking hard, ambition, and driven as hell. Driven as hell.